Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can get a free honeysuckle white turkey when you spend $100 or more in a single transaction through November 27th. Clip the offer in the Safeway app and make your holiday feast delicious.
Colorado's Lottery Commission just voted to let people buy tickets with credit cards and even order them online. But the decision's already sparking pushback from lawmakers worried about gambling debt and retailers who say they're being undercut. The rule takes effect right away, but lawmakers plan to take a closer look next session. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel.
And I'm Bazi Kanani. Coming up, thousands of undocumented Coloradans will lose health care coverage next year.
It's like, how we can decide who needs it and who doesn't?
It's a promise fulfilled for the Trump administration.
Then, a group of Democrats at the State House is under an ethics investigation because of a weekend retreat.
The people of Colorado deserve to have legislators who are not beholden to special interests.
Plus, what you can expect in the car buying market and whether that spells trouble for the state's economy.
What is normal in human nature is, keep your hands close to the vest when you're not so sure about what's going on.
It's Monday, November 24th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Thousands of Coloradans waited for an email from a .gov address last week to find out whether they would be able to afford health insurance next year.
Pues voy a estar al pendiente del teléfono, pero yo sé que cuando...
I'll be keeping an eye on my phone. I know that when I open it, it will be very good news.
This is Blanca, whose last name we're not using because of concerns that she could be targeted by ICE. She's one of 12,000 undocumented immigrants who got subsidized health insurance through a state program in 2025. She was keeping the faith, but as CPR's Mateo Schimpf reports, nearly half of prior recipients will not get subsidized insurance in the new year. Mateo, why will so many undocumented Coloradans lose subsidized coverage?
The short answer is the federal tax and spending bill that passed this summer, H.R. 1, better known as the One Big Beautiful Bill. Republicans wanted to stop using taxpayer money to help buy health insurance for immigrants. And the changes they made to Affordable Health Care Act exchanges are having a cascading effect on a Colorado program called OmniSalud. So through this program, Colorado has helped undocumented immigrants and DACA recipients get insurance for the past 3 years. The result is that 12,000 people had zero-cost premiums through OmniSalud last year. But in 2026, that number will drop to less than 7,000.
So about 5,300 immigrants will lose out on coverage from last year. How does the state decide who stays and who goes?
A lottery.
A lottery?
That's right.
I don't know if this is the most fair, but I don't know what else can be possible.
Diana Pineda is the founder and executive director at Vuela for Health. It's a healthcare organization that's helped to connect people with OmniSalud coverage.
And it's like, how we can decide who needs it and who doesn't?
It's an impossible question to answer. And so the state felt like a random lottery was the only reasonable solution.
You spoke to some of the people who were waiting to find out whether they won the lottery or not. For those people, how important has free health insurance been in their lives?
So Arlo, for the people I met at Vuela for Health, it's been really important. A woman named Carolina, who's 63, she came here from Mexico more than 20 years ago. We're also not using her last name because of her immigration status. And as she waited to find out if she'd get renewed coverage, she was scared.
Se preocupa y maybe se pone más mal de lo que está. Saber de dónde vas a...
You worry, and maybe you get worse than you are, not knowing how you're going to pay.
Carolina had kids in the U.S., worked cleaning houses, paid taxes, but for most of her life here, health insurance was out of reach. She said OmniSalud's coverage may have saved her life.
Me ordenaron el mamograma y incluso no...
They sent me to get a mammogram, and I didn't even know where to go because they charged for it. And then I started using the insurance, and that's when they discovered I had cancer.
She said the insurance paid for her biopsy and mastectomy, radiation treatment, medications she's still taking. And then there's Blanca, who we heard from earlier. She's 52, also came to the U.S. decades ago, and now she works at a bakery. Blanca said that OmniSalud helped her treat a head injury that went undiagnosed for years.
Me siento muy segura cuando tengo este programa porque sé que yo soy madre soltera.
I feel very secure with this program because I'm a single mother, and so that has helped me a lot because I honestly wouldn't have been able to pay.
Okay, so what happened on lottery day?
Phones started lighting up at the Vuela for Health office. People who just found out they'll no longer get that zero-cost coverage through OmniSalud, they wanted to know what they could do next. And some people just needed help logging into the online portal to find out their status.
Estamos un poco, sí, con un exceso de llamadas, tratando de ayudar a todos los que podemos, pero...
We're a bit overwhelmed with calls, trying to help everyone we can. We hope people understand.
Veronica is a promotora at Vuela. It's like a liaison, and again, we're not using Veronica's last name because of her immigration status. She was trying to provide people with answers. By the time she called Blanca to see how she was doing, she had already gotten that email from the state.
No, pues me llegó un mensaje que no califiqué.
I got a message saying I didn't qualify. And yes, I got sad.
But her sister, who Blanca said was recently diagnosed with cancer, did make the list.
So I think there was a change of fate, and it said, I'll take it from you, but your sister needs it more. And I was very happy about that.
Blanca said she'll apply for OmniSalud again next year, and she believes God will help her get selected. Plus, she's happy for all the people who were able to extend their care past January 1st. That includes Carolina, who drew a winning ticket.
CPR's Matoshev, who works on this podcast every single day behind the scenes. Thank you for this reporting.
Anytime, Arlo.
We know that lawmakers and lobbyists interact frequently, but when does it cross the line? That's the question that has led to an investigation of a group of Democratic state lawmakers. The group went to Vail for a weekend in October with lobbyists. Now, the state's Independent Ethics Commission is looking into it. Reporter Taylor Dolvin from the Colorado Sun originally uncovered the retreat and joins us now. Taylor, what were they doing in Vail? Can you paint the scene for us?
Yeah, so we know that this group of Democratic lawmakers who were part of a newly formed caucus called the Opportunity Caucus gathered with lobbyists at the Sonenelp Hotel in Vail over the October 4th weekend. And the chair of the Opportunity Caucus, Senator Lindsay Doherty, who was there, told us that the retreat included educational panels and discussions, and she said that the purpose was for the lawmakers to be able to talk about their goals for the caucus. And she said the caucus wants to focus on, quote, affordability, accessibility, and accountability for Coloradans.
And that caucus is considered among the more moderate Democrats in the state house. Taylor, I found it fascinating in your reporting that you found out who was at that gathering, in part because someone in Vail spotted the group and then sent you pictures. So let's talk a bit about who else you saw in those pictures. Let's talk about the lobbyists in attendance. What kind of interests do they represent?
Yeah, we were able to confirm a few lobbyists by their faces who were there, who are recognizable and, often at the Capitol. And the lobbyists at the retreat represent a bunch of different companies. Some of the most recognizable names are XL Energy, the private prison company Geo Group that runs the Immigration Detention Center in Aurora, and the tech company Ibotta. And they were also representatives of trade associations for realtors and restaurant owners.
And again, this group of Democratic lawmakers consider themselves political moderates. You reported that the retreat has upset progressives. A group called Common Cause filed the complaints. Can you tell us more about them?
Yeah, so I think it's important to understand the retreat upset many Democrats who aren't in the Opportunity Caucus, principally more progressives at the Capitol, for a few reasons. The caucus is linked to another nonprofit called One Main Street that has donated to fund campaigns of moderate Democrats against their more progressive opponents, including the campaigns of some members of the Opportunity Caucus. And also, the Opportunity Caucus and One Main Street are both what we consider dark money groups because they're 501c4 nonprofits that can engage in political activity and they don't disclose their donors. The group that filed the complaint is called Colorado Common Cause, which is the local chapter of a liberal-leaning national nonprofit that advocates for open government. They're the ones that asked the state's Independent Ethics Commission to investigate the retreat.
And Common Cause told reporters on Friday that they're trying to enforce an ethics law that they helped pass in 2006. That was an amendment to the state constitution. The group's current leader, Allie Belknap, said at the time that they were concerned about more than $1 million in gifts to politicians.
It included handheld computers, Broncos tickets, expensive meals, international travel, lots of freebies going around. And so that's why we took up this fight to pass Amendment 41, because all of those things were legal until Amendment 41 capped gifts to legislators and public servants.
So again, that was pre-2006. Now, in this 2025 case, we're not talking about tickets or international travel. So, Taylor, how does Common Cause think the lawmakers broke current law on gifts?
So the complaints include an email from the head of One Main Street, that other dark money nonprofit group that funds moderate Democrats' campaigns, saying that the chair of the Opportunity Caucus, Senator Lindsay Doherty, was requesting $25,000 from One Main Street to fund a hotel room block for the October 4th weekend retreat. The Colorado Constitution says that an elected official who is a scheduled speaker or participant at an event is allowed to have a nonprofit organization pay for their, quote, reasonable expenses, but only if the nonprofit receives less than 5% of its funding from for-profit organizations. And so the Common Cause complaints against these lawmakers allege that since One Main Street does not disclose its donors, none of the lawmakers who attended the Vail event could ensure that only 5% of the group's funding is from for-profit organizations.
We know the state's Ethics Commission will now investigate. And Taylor, you've also reported there's a separate negotiation happening among these two sides.
Yeah, so the 16 Democrats who have complaints against them now have 30 days to respond, and then the Independent Ethics Commission will investigate the claims and hold a hearing and eventually decide whether the legislators broke the law. But the commission moves incredibly slowly. This process could take years. And so if Common Cause and the Democrats who have complaints against them are able to reach a settlement agreement in the interim, Common Cause could withdraw its complaints and end this situation entirely.
Taylor Dolvin is with the Colorado Sun and Colorado Capital News Alliance. Thanks for sharing your reporting, Taylor.
Thank you for having me.
If you're in the market for a new car, you're probably in for some sticker shock. As part of our series about the health of Colorado's economy, Nathan Fernando Frescas started reporting in the back seat of a brand new orange SUV.
Oh, we hit a little bit.
Nathan, who is this and where are you?
I am with Roman Micah and his 28-year-old son, Tommy.
All right, give her heck, Dad.
Will do.
They run TFL Car, covering the auto industry. Their videos get millions of views a month, and they took me to test drive this Honda Passport on some really rugged terrain.
And we're going backwards, so you got to stay in it, Dad.
I'm staying in it.
Give her the beans.
Sounds both fun and a bit frightening.
Yes.
What are they saying about the car buying economy and the situation for people who are looking to buy right now?
Well, first they point to the fact that the average cost of a new car is now over $50,000.
Yikes.
And two things are causing that, Bozzy. A lot of uncertainty for manufacturers and dealers. The first thing is tariffs. Here's Tommy.
On the face of it, things seem good. The sales numbers are still strong. But I get that there's this underlying tone across the majority of manufacturers. Things are not okay.
On top of that, you have changes to subsidies for electric cars. Manufacturers and the government really pushed EVs. In the third quarter of this year, more than 25% of the vehicles registered here were battery-powered EVs. Perhaps people were rushing to buy before those subsidies ran out. And for a time, this enthusiasm for electric cars helped fill the void of budget and compact cars, which have either gotten more expensive or gone away completely. Think the Ford Focus. Bridget Myers of Boulder decided to lease a Nissan Leaf for just over $50 a month.
I'm really working to be more environmentally conscious and environmentally friendly.
But when her lease is up, she's really not sure what she's going to do since her subsidy will have run out.
What we would look at is it cost effective? Would we buy this car outright? Would we continue just to lease it? Does our lease rate go up?
So on top of fewer EV credits and tariffs increasing the cost to make vehicles and therefore to buy vehicles, what else are buyers having to navigate?
Interest rates that are still high, even though they've come down just a bit, plus all sorts of fees that can get tacked on when you buy a new vehicle. Here is Jeff Silverberg with John Elway Chevrolet in Englewood.
We don't see a lot of certainty, so I think people are doing what is normal in human nature is, keep your hands close to the vest when you're not so sure about what's going on.
Now, Buzzy, people are still buying cars, but there are financial risks that could make it hard to stick with a monthly payment.
Tell us more about those risks.
Well, people are putting down less money up front, and that means their monthly payments are going to be higher, right? And nearly 20% of monthly payments for new cars are above $1,000.
That's steep.
That is steep. And on top of that, some buyers are also taking out longer-term loans as well. Think like a 6-year loan. Sean Davies is a finance professor at CU Boulder, and he has his eye on subprime auto loans. These are for people with poor credit. He says more people are defaulting on those loans as well.
Which is definitely concerning. That's oftentimes the canary in the coal mine, because these are the folks with the most limited access to credit.
Now, this is just one measure, but this rise suggests more households are being squeezed, with some having to choose between car payments and covering rent or buying groceries.
And when we start seeing them pull back, that can be a sign or a warning sign of things to come for the general economy.
Davies says things aren't horrible yet, so don't hit that panic button. But there are fewer and fewer economical options for buying cars. And that's true for the used market, too, especially for cars made in the last 5 years or so. I heard from some Coloradans who said they can't even consider buying used because the value just isn't there. So experts tell me if you're set on buying a new car at the best price, just try not to be super picky.
We have been warned. CPR's Nathan Fernando Frescas. Thank you.
Thank you.
This reporting is part of a CPR series on what's happening with the state's economy. You can find links to more coverage in our show notes.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'm heading out to spend a week with my family. You won't hear much from me over the next few days. So while I have the chance, happy early Thanksgiving. And honestly, I'm really grateful that you're all here listening. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel.
And I'm Bazi Kanani. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can get a free honeysuckle white turkey when you spend $100 or more in a single transaction through November 27th. Clip the offer in the Safeway app and make your holiday feast delicious.